Shea, JDub, and Chet put on an absolute clinic in Minnesota. Are they the best trio OKC has ever had? Anthony Edwards doesn't think he struggled at all in that game. Can the Pacers escape the Knicks' quicksand trap in Game 4? And we get new details on Milwaukee's pitch to keep Giannis a buck. That's all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Doug, I would never foul you up 3.
Oh, thank you, buddy. How about you, Hayes, from the Locked On Bulls podcast? We got Hayes. Hayes, would you foul me up 3?
I'll take my chances.
Neither of you have seen my jump shot, to be fair. You don't know what I'm packing. All right, let's go to this game between the Thunder and the Wolves. We'll talk about the decision to foul up 3 and the funky ending to this game later on in the show. But the Thunder win a close back-and-forth slugfest with the Wolves 2 nights after getting beaten by more than 40. How did OKC turn things around so dramatically, Matt?
Turnovers, offensive rebounding. That's the story of these two games and how they were able to convert it. So OKC had 15 points off of turnovers in the Game 3 loss. They had 22 points off of turnovers in the Game 4 win. They dominated on the glass. They cleaned up their turnovers. They managed their situation a lot better. They played a lot sharper. They were able to execute. The Wolves played really great. But the other thing I thought that was really impressive about OKC in that game was their ability to just come back and hit shots consistently whenever the Wolves would make a run. They would push it to 2, bam, bam, back up to 7. The Wolves would come back, make it a 5-point game, bam, bam, back to 9. Like, they just managed that situation really well. One might say that they went kill, and were able to respond whenever the the Wolves made a run.
Hayes, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. When you look at the way that this game went, to me, the Minnesota Timberwolves should have won this game. I think that's the clear thing here. They made mistakes down the stretch of this game that took them out of the chance of winning it, and it's unfortunate because this is the one that they needed. I think the most is to be able to win this game. So now the series is basically over. That's the way that I look at it. The series is done.
Okay,
yeah.
let's go ahead.
Look, I want to say it's been over. They went up 2-0. Like, you're not beating OKC 4 out of 5 times. This is the problem. OKC, I think, deserves a lot of credit, Doug, for just being a monster.
And part of that was the trio of SGA, JDub, and Chet. Let's go to Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder for more on those 3.
Thunder's big 3 shows up in a big way, and they got enough contributions from their supporting cast to go up 3-1 and be 1 win away from the NBA Finals as Minnesota gets what they need to from their co-stars and supporting cast members, but not enough from the very top. JDub was the star. Look, JDub owned the floor tonight on both ends. He got whatever he wanted offensively. He was just outright disrespectful to Minnesota. He broke into the Target Center. He made a ham and cheese sandwich, and he threw the wrap around the floor. I mean, he just dominated this game from start to finish. The first 7 points of the night came from Chet and JDub. It was JDub's transition 3. It was JDub's mid-range game that started this game hot for OKC. And you just felt like there was a different intensity, a different aggression level, a different force that he was playing with early on that carried over through the course of this game.
Threw the wrapper on the floor, the disrespect. Hayes, Shea nearly drops a 40-point triple-double, 1 rebound, I believe, away. And Rylan is calling J-Dub the star of the game. Is he right?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways he is right. Like, don't get me wrong, the stat sheet and the game that Shea had was a great game, but Jay Will had himself a game, and he wasn't that far off as far as scoring. I think he made a really good impact on both sides of the ball, and his decision making in that game made a huge impact. I don't think it's crazy to say that Jay Will was the star of that game. I don't.
He shot better than Shea. The difference, the difference is it's the free throws. It's when JDub learns how to grift like Shea can, they're going to be in a pretty good spot here. Look, a lot of those were fouls last night. A lot of the complaints continued about it. I'm of two minds on this, which is like Shea's excellent at exaggerate. He shows you the foul. That's the thing, is that when you foul him, he doesn't allow you to he doesn't play through the foul. He shows the official the foul. But if we're talking about who actually shaped this game more, I do think it was JDub. JDub made huge play after huge play after huge play. I thought he was going to be the Western Conference Finals MVP. He's not, because Shea gets to the line 1,000 times a game. But I do think that JDub has been a better player in the series.
Shea, JDub, and Chet scored 95 of the Thunder's 128 points. They still have to win one more game to get to a finals. But, Matt, is this trio already better than Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, the other big trio in OKC history?
There's a few people making this conversation. Like, I talked about it on my podcast Buckets last night. I didn't, but somebody else did, Hayes, before I say this. But I've also seen it on social media this morning. A lot of folks talking about this team looking like 91 Bulls. That this is a couple of years, the young guy takes over, reaches another level, hits this kind of level. J-Dub is Pippen. I don't know who Chet would be in this scenario. I guess Horace Grant later on. I'm not sure how that works out. But a lot of talk about this could be the start of something like that. I think that's getting ahead, putting cart before the horse, but that's kind of the comparison. I don't know, man. The Thunder team was so good with Russ and KD, and it was just the era was different. I have a hard time, but I also just wonder if that's privacy bias, where because that was one of the first teams of really, really exciting teams I covered, that I've got a little bit more of a bias towards them. This team is awesome. Those three guys are contributing huge. I still lean towards that other Thunder team. But it is kind of the overall resume, I think, is enough to be like, are we seeing the start of something truly special here, even in an era where it's hard for teams to win more than one championship?
This definitely could be the making. I mean, as much as we talk about the chance of making a dynasty or whatever under the second tax apron place, the Thunder would be the team that's best equipped to do that. You have a bunch of young talent that, are going to eventually be due for contract extension, but you still have a lot of picks still in there that if you play smart, for example, the Thunder could get Cedric Howard in this draft. If he ends up being what some people think that he could be, that extends your window there. So the Thunder have the chance to really start building something that can go on and on and on, but they got to win this first one. And then after that, they got to prove that they don't have the championship hangover afterwards, and that they can repeat, which is something that we haven't seen done in 7 years. So if that ends up being the case, great. But they definitely have a chance to be that next team that has organically built a dynasty through just making smart moves, through moving off stars at the right time, and then drafting really well. So we'll see.
TBD if the individual players reach the same heights as KD, Russ, and Harden, and if they stay together or break up like that trio. But I think this trio, just in the OKC trio, is the better trio. I think. I mean, I don't know that it's difficult to argue that one. All right, coming up, we will talk about Anthony Edwards and his performance. Matt, you mentioned the 91 Bulls. A lot of people have made comparisons between Anthony Edwards and a certain Chicago Bull. Is he living up to anywhere close to those expectations? We'll talk about that on the other side. Plus, we will dig into some new intel on Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks' pitch to keep him. That's all ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Wayfair. Spring is here, and that means it is home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, Wayfair is the best-kept secret for all things home improvement. From small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sinks, or outdoor lighting, Wayfair has quality products for every budget. I just upgraded my kitchen with Wayfair, and the selection was incredible. Their free and fast shipping made it so easy, no hauling heavy items from the store. I love that they have top brands like GE and Moen at great prices. Shopping was seamless. seamless, and I found exactly what I needed to fit my space and my style. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. You heard from Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder in the first segment. Rylan mentioned that the Wolves didn't get the same production from their top players in Game 4. Let's hear from Ben Beacon of Locked On Wolves to get his take on the performance of Anthony Edwards.
I don't think it was a bad performance. You're going to see the typical kind of hot take artists give you that, on a national media level. And of course, that's the headline is Ant scores only 16 points in the most important, pivotal Game 4. I understand why that's the headline. I would have loved for Ant to shoot better than 1 of 7 from 3. I would have loved for him to shoot more than 13 field goal attempts. However, I actually think his decision-making was overall okay. There were a couple of possessions where I felt like he could have put the pedal to the metal a little bit more, and he didn't until later in the game. But the Thunder were also loading up on him. Like Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, having these dudes guards you is no picnic. Plus gap help. And Ant still, got around some doubles. He split some doubles. He got into the paint, drew a crowd, and made the right pass. But I think the lack of another ball handler that could truly scare you off the dribble which again is something Dillingham was supposed to alleviate this year. This is kind of finally where that's showing up.
All right, so Anthony Edwards, 6th on his team in game score, 13 shot attempts, 16 points. After the game, Anthony Edwards was asked about his own performance, and he said, quote, "I don't look at it like I struggled. They had a good game plan, making us get off the ball, especially for me. They were super in the gaps. I made the right play all night. I didn't get enough shots to say I struggled. So that might be how you guys look at it. But yeah, I didn't struggle at all. I just made the right play." Matt, what do you think? Did he struggle? Did he make the right play? What's your take?
I think you have the ability as a star player to do things like find ways to get those opportunities, whether it's, hey, we need stagger screens, we need some sort of separation. They had a 124 offensive rating with him on the floor. That's good enough for them to win. That's more than good enough for them to win. Their problem was on the defensive side. They had a 147.5 defensive rating with Dante DiVincenzo on the floor. That's been a problem. He's been a huge letdown. I get it from Ant's perspective. I also do think, though, if they're going to show this at you, there are ways for you to be able to counter that if you're a good enough passer. And I think Ant's a good passer. He's not a great one. And this is another comment. Hey, do you remember when he was talking about this back in November, complaining about this, about I didn't get enough shots? He really seems to act like he wants his teammates to make it easy for him. And it's like, dude, you're the guy. They're going to load up on you. So I don't really get making the argument of that somehow your teammates' fault that you didn't get enough shots here because they weren't able to take the pressure away. You're the guy. Take that head on or don't. But that middle ground complaining about, this is a subtle dig at, well, they were just loading up on me because they're not scared of anybody else. That's a dig at your teammates. And I am not sure that's the right approach for Ant.
I love that Ant, he has been a lot more vocal, and more times than not, he has held himself accountable throughout. When he's been complaining about the state of the team or the things that they've been doing wrong. This one, I wish he would have showed a little bit more humility at, because like you said, he is indirectly kind of throwing his teammates under the bus. And to say that you didn't struggle, I mean, yes and no, I could see the angle that he's taking and the fact that to try to say that he didn't struggle in this game. But I mean, the fact of the matter is your team lost. Your team lost in Game 4 on your home court, and you scored 16 points. You struggled. They needed more from you than that. You talked about how important it was for you to move off ball, shoot the ball better. And while you were 5 of 13 from the field, that's all great, fine and dandy. They needed their leader out here. Anthony Edwards, even if struggle isn't the word you want to use there, he should have, and they needed him to play better in this game.
Anthony Edwards has played in 41 playoff games in his career. In 6 of those, he shot under 15 field goal attempts. 3 of those 6 have come in these 2025 playoffs, 2 against OKC and 1 against Golden State. So fair or unfair, he has gotten comparisons to early Michael Jordan. Can we just put those, Hayes, can we put those comparisons to bed now?
Yeah, they should be putting those to bed. Absolutely.
Should we have ever gotten them out of bed?
No, not until you don't get the Michael Jordan comparisons until you prove it on the basketball court in the playoffs when it matters the most. That's not just me being a homer. That's to Kobe. That's to LeBron. You don't compare anybody to these players until they do it when it matters the most. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, go back even further though. Like, what Jordan's first MVP was what, 88?
Yeah, I think so.
He was dominant from the start. Like, he was dominant from the very start. He had already accomplished a lot more than Ant had. And Ant's still young and he can get there. But this is the problem, is like, Jordan was absolutely BTA from the moment he stepped in the league and only got better and then won all the championships. So I just feel like, we probably have gone a little too far as making that comparison because we're so desperate for someone to look like that again. I just think I agree. I think it was a little too early on.
All right, let's move on. We have new intel on Milwaukee's pitch to Giannis, which was reportedly supposed to happen last week. Here's the latest from the Steinline Substack. Mark Stein writing, word is that the Bucks are trying to build a good bit of their case for convincing Antetokounmpo to give them another shot to build a title team around him by loudly reminding him about the current state of the Eastern Conference. The Bucks are also hoping that the presence of Doc Rivers as coach can provide some sort of boost. Antetokounmpo and Rivers are believed to have a strong working relationship, unquote. I give all of that to you, Hayes, and you say what?
Shut up. That's what I say in that case. Like, whoever started that rumor, please shut up. Like, Doc Rivers, listen, no. Like, I hate this time of year because it leads to a lot of speculation on things that we should just kind of wait and see about, to be 100% honest with you. But the whole Giannis thing, I love Mark Stein. Mark Stein is great when it comes down to it, but I don't know how to feel about this one. Go ahead, man.
Giannis wanted Adrian Griffin. Like, that was the thing. They were down to Adrian Griffin or Nick Nurse, and they chose Adrian Griffin over him because of Giannis's preference for that. Now, that doesn't mean that it's all on Giannis. It doesn't mean that. But that was a failure from that perspective. They do seem to be trying to rely on the relationships here to try and smooth things. And Doc's very good about building those relationships. Like, we look at things on the outside, like, winning in the playoffs and how his teams function on offense and defense. But he is a good coach and he does have a strong relationship with the players. He's been around forever, player, coach, etc. He's an NBA lifer. So I get it. I'll just be very interested to see what Giannis wants for himself here and what he kind of envisions here. This is like here's the thing. We can think this is an insane pitch, but if this is what Giannis will actually connect with more than, hey, we're hiring a really great strategic mind and we're revamping the roster, I think this is maybe the right approach. If this is what Giannis will respond to, that to me is kind of the question, is what is Giannis? We still don't know. And this is a credit to Giannis that we still don't know what he wants. That's a credit for him for not letting it get out there.
The pitch about the Eastern Conference being weak seems like a pitch that is as weak as the Eastern Conference may be next season, because, I mean, the Bucks have been bounced by Indiana now for 2 straight postseasons. And I think the pitch should be about how are you going to make Milwaukee better and less about the other teams, right?
Yeah, and also getting them better. The problem is there's no way for them to do so because of the new CBA. Like, we're going to keep coming back to this, is the Bucks are stuck. They have no option. I've written a big article that's going to come out as soon as the conference finals are over that suggests that the NBA has to make a change in the bylaws to allow for the removal of the Stepien rule so that teams can trade their first round picks. That's how bad all these teams are stuck. The Nuggets are doing this exact same thing. They asked Josh Kroenke, how are you going to improve? And he said, mostly internal, because there's no other option. That's what the Bucks are left with. It's just like, well, we hope some guys will get better that we already have. There's no other way around it. And this is why, but I'll also say this, Giannis is going to have this problem no matter where he goes. If he goes somewhere, it'll look great then, but how is that team going to put a roster around him? This is the real challenge, I think, of the new reality of the NBA.
And if you internally improve, you can't internally improve too much, or you'll end up like the Detroit Pistons, who now have an all-NBA player in Cade Cunningham, whose contract, just went into the stratosphere. And so that's going to hamper their ability to continue to build around. So yeah, I agree. It's a complicated issue. All right, Hayes, final word on Milwaukee's plans. We don't know yet what Giannis thinks about all of this, or if he will ultimately you move to make a deal happen. But your final thoughts on this topic?
I mean, I hope that they can, I hope Giannis stays in Milwaukee. I just think it's a good story for him. It's a good story for that city that needs and deserves a player that wants to stay there and play for their franchise. I just don't know if they're gonna be able to offer the best situation if Giannis wants to contend and win more titles between now and the end of his career. But I'm glad to hear that they're putting what they feel is their best foot forward. If that's what Giannis responds to and what gets him to stay there, do whatever it takes. If that's what it takes and that works, great. I just have my doubts on the connection to Doc Rivers being the pitch that gets you there, but hey, I could be wrong on that one.
All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, Knicks Pacers Game 4. The Knicks are going to see if they can extend the road winning streak in this series and even it up. We'll hear from Locked On Pacers about how the style of this series has completely flipped on the Pacers and what they should do about it in Game 4. Plus, I want to return to that Wolves Thunder ending and how funky it was with a fan catching a ball, and there was some weird clock stuff. We're going to talk about it all on the other side. Locked On NBA. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every single day. The New York Knicks try to even up the series and keep the road team winning streak alive tonight. Locked On Pacers host Tony East welcomed Pacers writer Kyle Taylor, on to discuss how the Knicks are slowly dragging the Pacers into a fight they don't want to be in.
Game 3 is the first time in the series it was like, oh, the Knicks have control of the game style completely. Their offense has been much better.
They are facing the Knicks playing the way they want to play and imposing that on the game. Zoom out, who's sort of like in the tug of war of style and, play. The series as a whole is just sort of like edging one way. The Cavs made it edge one way, like air quotes edge one way, by playing a 3-2 zone, a very specific thing, and the Pacers solved the problem. In this case, I think there is a little bit more reason to be concerned because it is not one thing. It is not, oh, it's this zone, or with Milwaukee, it's like, it's this one lineup and AJ Green inverted actions. In many phases of the game, the Knicks are forcing the Pacers later in the clock, slowing them down, and possessions for the Pacers are resulting in fewer good shots.
When you're stuck in quicksand, cartoons have taught me that trying to fight your way out makes it worse. So, Matt, I'll ask you the question that Tony East followed up with in his podcast. Is the answer to this style shift for the Pacers simply to take a breath, calm down, and just play better?
Yeah, I get the idea of there being some sort of, they're edging this towards how the Knicks want to play. The Knicks want to play Landry Shamet and Miles McBride. Tibbs wants to play more than 7 guys. That's what they want to do. They want to play DeLon Wright. No, they play. You want to know why they won Game 3? Because Jalen Brunson got in foul trouble. So then they actually started doing this weird. They tried out a revolutionary concept in Game 3, passing. They pass the ball as opposed to dribbling the air out of it. It's not going to happen in Game 4. It's not going to happen in Game 5. Jalen Brunson's going to dribble, grift. And the Pacers have been able to handle that. They can win this game if the Pacers shoot terribly again. Everything about this game, Hayes, to me, is entirely under the Pacers' control. They didn't play with enough urgency, I thought, in Game 3. Even when they took the lead, I didn't think they were playing fast enough or with enough intensity. I think they get back to that tonight. I think everything is still under the Pacers' control to win the series, this game, and then the series in 5.
Yeah, the Pacers, they are still in the pole position to win this series. No question about it. Like the Knicks, they had themselves a game, and it was a great game. But like we talked about after, like I don't know how much of that is you can replicate. Like the Knicks have been more in some of these games than people give them credit for. But I think the Pacers, they don't need to panic. It's not like the Pacers have been solved or anything like that. Now, if they do it again, if the Knicks come back out and they do something and they push the series to 2-2, okay, then at that point, Pacers look to adjust something. But I think they've been too good, too well executed, too well coached to really start making this a thing that they need to panic about or try to over exaggerate for. Go out there, play well, execute, fight hard like you have this entire playoffs. And chances are things are going to go pretty well for you, I think. So I think everything's still in their hands as it stands right now.
All right, Pacers X Factor Aaron Nesmith, savior of Game 1, is listed as questionable after a sprained ankle suffered in Game 3. If he can't go, should the Pacers panic then? What does that do to Indy's chances to go up 3-1, Hayes?
I mean, I think overall the Pacers still they have enough regardless. Like the Pacers, through the way that they play with their depth and everything else, they have enough no matter what's going on to win this game. They've shown it. We've seen it. I think you just need everybody to execute well. Tyrese Halliburton to have a good game and keep attacking the weak spots of the Knicks defense. I think they'll be right regardless. They'll be okay regardless.
Is Nesmith's absence bigger on offense or defense? I think is an interesting question because he's been a really good defender on Jalen Brunson. If it's offense, I feel like they have enough guys. If it's defense, they don't. But do the Pacers need to win this with offense or defense? I think they need to win it with offense. They scored 100 points in Game 3. Does that sound like the Pacers to you? Doesn't sound like the Pacers to me. But the Knicks defense was terrific. Yeah, because Jalen Brunson was in foul trouble. Again, I'm just being honest here. The more Jalen Brunson plays, the better it is for the Pacers. And Jalen Brunson's going to play a lot because this is Tibbs' Knicks.
All right, let's return to that Wolves Thunder Game 4. Close game, funky ending. Wolves foul a lot up 3 to the consternation. The Thunder foul a lot up 3 to the consternation of the NBA commentariat. So I give this to you, Matt. Should teams be allowed to foul up 3 with under 24 to go? Is it ruining the game? Is there an answer? If you don't think they should, is there an answer for the NBA to fix this?
Doug, you do a really good job of never really presenting a side when you present these things as a shot clock strip, but
he's really good at
your feeling on this one seeped through, I think, a little bit of annoyance of the conversation. I honestly don't have a preference. I think it's hard to legislate out everything that we don't like about the game. I think that once we get into, I understand people's responses. This is an entertainment product. I get it. You're right. But you have to stop short somewhere on a slippery slope, because otherwise you're just like, floor is lava, right? So we have to stop somewhere on this path of it. On the other hand, it does suck. Like, how much did you want to see an Anthony Edwards pull-up 3 for the tie last night? I wanted to see that very badly. I see both sides of it. I don't have a strong feeling on it. I just think that we do have to find a balance here between let's do what's best for the entertainment of the sport, and also let's not make so many rules that no team, like every time a team figures out a strategic advantage, we try and get rid of it. That said, the tush push needs to go in the NFL, just so I'm clear on this. Killed that with fire.
I hate the tush push.
Me too.
It screams amateur football. Like, that just does not seem like something professional should. I'm sorry, this is not Locked On NFL. I apologize. Let me shut up.
Well, at least, but see, there's a distinct difference between those two things. Where the tush push it's a physical act. It's within the realm of the game. Whereas this fouling up 3 just seems like seems weak. It seems a bailout of a game that should come down to, let me see if your team can hit more shots than my team.
Yeah, and that's the answer is they took away the take foul because it was taking away the most athletic and entertaining parts of the sport. And people say that's like, how is this different? And I don't have an answer for it. Again, at this point, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're both right, I get it. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not on the competition committee to have to decide this. That I think is where I wind up on it.
All right, Hayes, if you were on the competition committee, would you do anything about this, or just say, go and make your shots with 4 minutes to go and you won't have to worry about it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't legislate everything out of basketball. There's always going to be a thing. Like, to Matt's point, it is a slippery slope at that point, because then you're just going to be trying to get everything out. Like, there's going to be things that causes competitive advantage. You just have to be better down the stretch. And I think that still is part of the game of basketball. Just go out there and hit your shots. Be better. Don't put yourself in that situation. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'm against doing anything about it, but for a strange reason, for the same reason that I was against the new take foul rules. It makes the game harder to explain to people. Like, all of these additional little rules, like you got, well, yeah, but you can't do that, and then this happens if you do that. Then it turns into football, where it's like impossible to explain. If someone comes down from Mars, like, it's impossible to explain football to anyone that hasn't been immersed in it. So simplify the game. That's what I say. Now, You said I was trying to hide my feelings. I will not hide my feelings about this final topic because I despise when courtside fans get involved in the game in any way. I don't like the crazy heckling. I don't like fans stepping on the court to go get another drink. I don't like any of it. Spilling drinks onto the floor and having delays. I hate it. So no surprise, I'm not a fan of the fan that caught the ball on the out of bounds that Shea tried to throw to end the game. And the fan caught it with 0.6 on the clock, but the clock ran to 0.1 and the officials huddle and eventually put 0.3 on the clock for the Wolves inbound, which was important because at 0.1, you can't do anything. At 0.3, you can actually attempt a tip shot. I don't know how they got to 0.3, Hayes. Do you like how this final sequence evolved and what to do about the fan situation catching the ball?
No, because you would think that it's either going to be one or the other. It's either going to be still at 0.6 or it's going to be at 0.1. And even if you did decide for it to be at 0.1, I don't understand how you would have got there.
So split the difference.
I don't understand how we got here. It should have been 0.6 on the clock. So that is a fail by the officiating, in my opinion.
If the ball is coming towards you, what do you do?
Hey, you're gonna catch it.
But he was, that fan was standing up, and it looked kind of like I haven't really Zapruder filmed these replays, but it seemed like he was encroaching upon the plane of play space.
The ball's coming towards you. You're standing up because it's the last play of the game. You catch the ball. Like, do you want to issue a warning to everybody? Hey, if the ball comes towards you, you got to do a chest pump like you can't catch it. I don't know what to do here because, like, I think if I was in that guy's position, which I would never be because I'm a poor, then I would catch the ball. And I think it's fine, and it almost allowed us for an opportunity for an all-time moment, but JDub made a really great play. So,
it's a slippery slope, though, because I think the NBA would be smart to issue some kind of warning to courtside fans because, I think there's a sense of entitlement. There's a sense of, I paid a lot of money for these tickets. I can be involved in the game in a special way. They shouldn't have that entitlement. And also, I think you'll have more fans encroaching into that play space, and they can't tolerate that.
The only fair thing here to do is to have media set courtside at all the seats now. That's the only real solution here.
That's it. Hey, speaking of courtside fans, we got a courtside kitty. What's going on? Hayes' cat making a special appearance.
Yeah, I felt something by my foot. I'm like, what is hitting my foot? It was the kitten. I don't even know how she got down here.
All right. What's the name?
Luna. Her name's Luna.
Beautiful. That's a wonderful name and a wonderful way to end this. Thank you. After my rant, you've softened me. You've softened my hardened heart on that courtside fan rant. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. Thanks to Matt and Hayes and Luna for their expertise every single day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On NBA Big Board. Great show. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow reacts to every workout, interview, and rumor leading up to the NBA draft. Find Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Enjoy our beautiful game tonight. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you right back here. Maybe Luna will too, tomorrow on Locked On NBA.